Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. So, today we're getting into something that could literally save you thousands of dollars. We're taking a hard, data-driven look at the used car market, relying on some really crucial data from Consumer Reports. Specifically, we're zeroing in on those vehicles that might seem like an amazing deal on the lot, but are actually hiding a massive financial headache. We're talking about one specific, absolutely catastrophic point of failure. We're going to break down the exact models, the years, and the huge warning signs you absolutely need to know before you hand over your cash.
Okay, let's dive into this. As any car gets older, we naturally start worrying about reliability, right? The inconvenience goes up and those unexpected expenses really start to mount as the miles rack up on the odometer. Transmissions can fail for a bunch of reasons. Sometimes it's just how the car was driven, but honestly, a lot of times it boils down to pure manufacturer defects. And out of everything that can possibly go wrong under the hood, having your transmission start slipping, overheating, or just flat out dying on the highway, that is the ultimate nightmare scenario for anyone buying a used car.
And honestly, here is exactly why that fear is 100% justified. $4,000. Yeah, let that sink in for a second. According to the data, that is the average replacement cost for the continuously variable transmissions we're looking at today. I mean, that is a staggering bill to get hit with on a car you just bought secondhand. The financial stakes here are incredibly high, and knowing which models carry a way higher failure rate than others is literally your best defense.
Section 1. American SUV and compact flops. Chevy and Ford's costly mistakes.
Listen to this. This is a very real, very visceral quote from a 2013 Chevy Traverse owner. They reported driving up into the mountains and realizing their SUVs simply couldn't shift properly. So the 2012 and 2013 Traverse models, which, remember, are these big, three-row mid-sized SUVs with a 6-speed automatic, they suffered from these terrible delayed part throttle downshifts. Basically, the transmission would aggressively cling to higher gears trying to save fuel, and when it finally did decide to downshift, it wasn't smooth at all. This harsh, lurching, mixed with all this loud engine noise, made the whole vehicle feel totally sluggish and unreliable.
When you look at how the data shakes out across these models, the Chevy Traverse is sitting right at the top with the lowest reliability scores from Consumer Reports, mainly because of those exact drive system issues. But check out the Ford Fiesta right there in the middle. If you're a budget-conscious buyer, a 2011 to 2014 Fiesta probably looks like a smart, economical choice, right? Well, the transmission problems are severe. We're talking overheating, slipping gears, holding on to gears for way too long. Consumer Reports' chief mechanic actually pointed out that these issues, which might seem minor at first, can lead to complete catastrophic failure, leaving the Fiesta entirely undrivably.
And the mess really just escalates when we look at the Ford Focus, specifically the 2012 through 2017 model years. The transmission troubles here were everywhere. Drivers reported this severe hesitation and violent jerking just trying to move forward from a stop sign. And these weren't rare things happening in 150,000 miles. The data shows these problems were surfacing, on average, between just 30,000 and 60,000 miles. Consumers obviously didn't take this sitting down. These failures triggered a massive wave of class action lawsuits that actually forced real settlements for the affected owners.
Section 2. Early deaths and luxury lemons. Basically, when new and expensive isn't actually better.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer absurdity of the contrast. Today, we fully expect modern cars to comfortably hit 200,000 miles, if not more. But Consumer Reports found that the Kia Forte was having transmission issues incredibly early. We're talking typically between 12,000 and 23,000 miles. And in one super highly documented case, a 2019 Kia Forte owner had their transmission go completely kaput at just 4,300 miles. I mean, imagine the sheer frustration of that. You buy a practically brand new car, it dies at 4,300 miles, and then, as this owner actually reported, it took 44 days for the transmission to be replaced under warranty. Now, to be totally fair here, Kia makes some fantastic, highly rated cars today, and the Forte is generally a bestseller for them. But for these specific owners, this kind of early, catastrophic failure caused immense pain and inconvenience.
Okay, so what if you spend a small fortune on a premium brand instead? You'd be safe, right? Well, a lot of shoppers look at a used Infiniti QX60 thinking it's an excellent luxury family vehicle. But if you look at the 2014 model, Consumer Reports hit it with a dismal 1 out of 5 reliability rating. One owner noted that their transmission had already been repaired once, only to start having the exact same problems less than 10,000 miles later. That prompted this incredibly valid quote: "This is just unacceptable quality in a $50,000 or more vehicle." And honestly, they hit the nail on the head.
Section 3. The Nissan CVT Epidemic.
a real pattern of failure. Let's see how this builds into the absolute core of our explainer today.
First things first, we need to clearly define what we are actually talking about here, a continuously variable transmission, or CVT. Now, the original promise of the CVT was incredible on paper: better fuel economy, perfectly smooth shifts, and higher engine performance. But in specific models and brands, most notably Nissan, it severely backfired. Instead of smooth power, drivers got this really uneasy rubber band-like feel and a massive trend of complete mechanical failures that cost thousands to replace. The 2016 Nissan Altima is basically the poster child for this technology completely failing to deliver on its promise.
And this brilliantly illustrates the wildly unpredictable, totally premature failures happening across the Nissan lineup. The 2016 Altima, it commonly sees failure between 42,000 and 77,000 miles. The 2013 and 2014 Pathfinder sits around 58,000 miles. The 2011 Rogue fares just a little bit better at 94,000 miles, but come on. In an era where SUVs should easily double that lifespan, having a major component fail before hitting 100,000 miles is just absolutely unacceptable.
So how do you actually protect yourself? Let's use the 2011 to 2013 Nissan Murano as a case study. The Murano is actually a pretty premium upscale SUV, but its one major glaring trouble spot is this exact transmission. If you are out test driving a used one, you have to be hypervigilant. Listen for any whining or wearing noises. Feel for a sudden lack of power or shuddering when you step on the gas. And really importantly, pay close attention to delayed engagement, specifically after you've been driving for a bit and the transmission fluid is fully warmed up. That is exactly when the problems usually show their face.
Because if you miss those warning signs, you better be ready for a fight. One Consumer Reports member shared a story that's kind of darkly funny. Their Murano's transmission failed the exact moment their warranty expired. Literally, the exact moment. They actually had to write directly to the CEO of Nissan just to get reimbursed for about $1,600 of the cost. And even with that extreme measure, the whole process still dragged on for months.
But get this, the Murano isn't even the worst offender in the SUV category. 10. That is the astonishing number of times the 2014 Nissan Pathfinder has been recalled by the NHTSA. When Nissan decided to transition the Pathfinder from a tough, truck-based workhorse to a more car-based SUV with the CVT in 2013 and 2014, Consumer Reports slammed it with their lowest reliability rating. If your heart is completely set on one of these, please do your homework, because 10 recalls for safety and costly issues, that is a massive, glowing red flag.
Which builds the suspense right to the climax of the data. Section 4, the number one offender. The 2012 to 2015 Nissan Sentra. You see the Sentra everywhere on the used car market, right? It looks like a perfectly reliable, affordable option, especially for a new driver. But it is hiding a massive defect. One 2013 Sentra owner gave this seriously harrowing account. Transmission failed catastrophically while driving, left transmission fluid and little metal transmission bits all over the road. I mean, wow. That beautifully illustrates the very real physical danger and the reality of getting immediately stranded caused by these defects. So the crucial point is that the Sentra isn't just a ticking time bomb for your wallet, it is also a fundamentally miserable vehicle to drive. The data shows it has some of the most frequent automatic transmission problems ever recorded by Consumer Reports. The 1.8-liter four-cylinder is paired up with a CVT that is relentlessly noisy. On top of that, the ride is described as notably stiff and rubbery, and the handling is surprisingly inept for a car that's supposed to be small and nimble. It's just a rough package all around.
Now, you might be hoping that Nissan realized the issue and issued a fix. Well, they certainly tried. For the 2014 models, they introduced a revised CVT, along with tweaked steering and new suspension tuning. But the data proves it just wasn't enough. Manufacturer fixes can't always save a deeply flawed vehicle design. These revisions totally failed to change the overwhelmingly bad impression and the incredibly poor reliability rating of the Sentra. Which leaves us with this final, really provocative thought to consider before you head out into the used car market. Armed with all this Consumer Reports data, you now know exactly what to look for, what awful sounds to listen for, and which specific model years you should just walk away from. The big question is, will your next dealership visit end in a 200,000-mile dream or a metal-scattering nightmare? Keep this explainer handy, protect your wallet, and drive safe out there.